Park walked through the massive doors of the council chamber with his head held high. His heart was beating fast, but his face showed only calm. He was the first human to ever stand in this room. Behind him, the doors closed with a deep sound that echoed through the huge space. The chamber was bigger than anything he had ever seen. It was round, with seats rising up like a mountain on all sides. In those seats sat creatures from 47 different worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, some had no faces at all. They all watched him with eyes that held no warmth. Had trained for this moment his whole life. He had learned 15 alien languages. He had studied every culture, every custom, every rule of the Galactic Council. Earth had chosen him because he believed, truly believed, that peace was possible, that the stars could welcome humanity like a new member of a great family. He walked to the center of the room and stopped on a small platform. Above him, the High Arbiter of the Dominion looked down. His name was, and his reptilian face showed nothing but cold interest. They had ruled the council for 3,000 years. They decided who could join and who would be rejected. Bowed low, showing respect in the way. "High Arbiter," he said, his voice steady. "Leaders of the Galactic Council, I come before you as a representative of Earth and all humanity. We come in peace. We come with open hands and open hearts." He pressed a button on his small device and images appeared in the air around him. Pictures of Earth, blue oceans, green forests, cities full of lights, children playing, scientists working, artists creating beautiful things. "My people have only recently learned to travel between stars," continued. "We are young, we are eager. We have made many mistakes in our history, but we have also learned from them. We do not come to take, we come to give and to share." He showed them what humanity could offer. New medicines, new technologies, new ideas, music and art and stories from a world they had never seen. He spoke of trade that would make everyone richer. He spoke of friendship that would make everyone stronger. When he finished, the chamber was silent. Leaned forward in his seat. His yellow eyes studied like a scientist studying an insect. "The council will consider your words," said. "You will wait." Was taken to a small room. He waited there for 3 days. He ate the strange food they gave him. He slept on a bed that was too hard. He thought about his wife and his daughter back on Earth. He thought about how proud they would be when humanity joined the council. On the 4th day, guards came for him. They brought him back to the chamber. This time, the atmosphere was different, colder. The aliens watched him with something new in their eyes. Some looked away when he tried to meet their gaze. Stood up, his voice boomed through the chamber. "The Galactic Council has studied humanity," he announced. "We have examined your history, your wars, your weapons, the way you consume resources, the speed at which you breed and spread." Felt a cold feeling growing in his stomach. "We have reached a decision," continued. "Humanity is classified as a Class 7 invasive species. You are a disease waiting to spread across the galaxy. You will not be granted membership. You will not be allowed to leave your system." Took a deep breath. This was not what he had hoped for, but it was not the worst outcome. They could try again later. They could prove themselves. "I understand, High Arbiter," he said calmly. "We will return to Earth and respect your decision, perhaps in time." "You misunderstand, human." His mouth twisted into something like a smile. "You will not return anywhere. The Council has decided that humanity must receive a clear message. They must understand their place in this galaxy." Guards grabbed his arms. He did not fight. He did not understand what was happening. "What are you doing?" he asked. "We are teaching your people a lesson," said. "A lesson they will never forget." A soldier stepped forward. He carried a plasma rifle, looked at the weapon, and finally he understood. "Please," he said, "this is not necessary. My people want peace. Killing me will not. It will show them what happens to species that reach beyond their place," interrupted. "Begin the broadcast. Let every human see this." Across the galaxy, signals flew toward Earth. On every screen, on every device, billions of humans watched as the transmission began. Stood straight. If he was going to die, he would die with dignity. He thought of his daughter. He thought of the sunrise over the mountains near his home. He thought of all the good things humanity could have shared with the stars. "I forgive you," he said quietly, "but my people will not." Laughed. "Your people are nothing. They are weak primitives who will cower in fear after this day." The plasma rifle fired. His body turned to ash in an instant. The ash drifted slowly to the floor of the council chamber, watched by 47 species who said nothing. On Earth, billions of people saw their ambassador die. For a long moment, there was only silence. Then slowly something changed. In homes and offices, in military bases and government buildings, the shock turned to something else, something cold, something hard. The Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. They had looked at humanity and seen weakness. They had seen a young species that would be easy to frighten. They did not understand what they had just awakened. In the war room beneath the mountains of Korea, Admiral watched the transmission end. Her hands were shaking, but not from fear. "Get me the president," she said quietly. "It is time to show them who we really are." The age of peace was over. The age of reckoning had begun. The world had stopped. On every continent, in every country, people stood frozen. Mothers held their children. Workers stared at screens. Soldiers gripped their weapons with white knuckles. They had all seen the same thing. They had all watched Park die. For 1 hour, Earth was silent. Then the silence ended. In cities around the world, people poured into the streets. They did not riot. They did not scream. They marched in quiet rows, holding pictures of their murdered ambassador. Millions of people walking together, saying nothing. The silence was louder than any scream could ever be. Admiral did not join the marches. She had work to do. The war room was buried deep beneath the mountains. It had been built to survive nuclear war, asteroid impacts, anything Earth could throw at itself. Now it would serve a different purpose. Stood at the center of the room, surrounded by screens and holographic displays. Around her sat the most powerful military leaders on Earth, generals from every nation, admirals from every fleet. All of them looked at her, waiting. She was 53 years old. Her hair was gray at the temples. Her face carried the marks of 30 years of service, but her eyes were sharp and her voice did not shake. 3 hours ago, the Galactic Council executed Ambassador Park, she began. They broadcast his murder to our entire planet. They called us a disease. They told us to stay in our corner of space and be afraid. She let those words hang in the air. "I'm not afraid, are you?" No one answered. They did not need to. The answer was written on every face. President appeared on the main screen. He was a calm man, known for his careful decisions and measured words. But today, there was steel in his voice. "Admiral, what are our options?" Pressed a button and new images filled the room. Ships, hundreds of ships, massive warships with weapons that gleamed in the light of distant stars. "For the past 30 years, we have been preparing," explained. "Publicly, we built exploration vessels. We talked about peaceful contact. We smiled and hoped the universe would welcome us." She changed the image. "Privately, we built this, Project the Iron Veil." The generals leaned forward. Many of them had heard rumors of secret programs. None of them had imagined anything like this. 312 capital ships, continued. 2,000 support craft. Weapons that the Council banned thousands of years ago because they were too destructive. We built them all. General Nam, the oldest officer in the room, spoke up. "How? The budget alone would be—" "Hidden in plain sight," answered. "Every nation contributed. Every government kept the secret. We all knew deep down that the universe might not be friendly. We prepared for the worst." Doctor stepped forward. She was small, with glasses that made her look like a librarian, but she was the most dangerous person in the room. She had designed the weapons. The council species evolved on stable worlds, explained. They had millions of years of peace. They forgot how to truly fight. Their weapons are meant to disable, to capture, to negotiate. She pulled up images of council ships. They were beautiful, with smooth curves and elegant designs. Our weapons are meant to destroy. Kinetic accelerators that fire metal at a fraction of light speed. Antimatter warheads. Electromagnetic pulses that can kill a ship's systems from thousands of kilometers away. They have never seen anything like what we have built. President was quiet for a long moment. They killed a good man, he finally said. A man who went to them with nothing but hope. They laughed while they did it. They thought we would be afraid. He looked directly into the camera. Admiral, you have my authorization. Show them what happens when you corner humanity. Nodded, she turned to her officers. We launch in 6 months. That gives us time to finalize fleet positions, train our crews for real combat, and let the council think we are doing nothing but crying. She smiled, and it was not a kind smile. They called us a disease. They have no idea how right they were. We are going to spread through their space like a plague. We are going to burn everything they use to make war, and when we are done, they will never threaten Earth again. The room erupted in activity. Officers shouted orders. Screens lit up with fleet movements and battle plans. The machinery of war began to turn. Stepped away from the noise for a moment. She looked at a small picture she kept in her pocket. It was a photo of her son. He was 12 years old. He liked soccer and video games and bad jokes. She was doing this for him. For all the children who would never be safe as long as the council thought they could murder humanity's messengers. I promise you, she whispered to the picture, I will make a galaxy where you can walk among the stars without fear. She put the photo away and returned to work. Across Earth, factories that had been sleeping came to life. Workers who had trained in secret for years finally understood why. Ships that had been hidden in asteroids and empty moons began their final preparations. The council had no idea what was coming. They thought they had crushed humanity's spirit. They thought the execution would keep humans locked in their solar system forever, too scared to venture out. They were wrong. In 6 months, the galaxy would learn the truth about the species from the small blue planet. They would learn that humans did not cower when threatened. They did not surrender when hurt. They fought back. And they did not stop until they won. Commander was bored. He had been stationed at Outpost 7 for 2 years. Nothing ever happened here. The outpost sat at the edge of space, watching a sector that no one cared about. The only thing in that direction was the primitive human, and those creatures would never dare to leave their system, not after what the council had done to their ambassador. Remembered watching that broadcast. He had laughed at how easily the human had died, how pathetic he had looked, begging for peace even as the rifle charged. They were the rulers of the galaxy. Humans were nothing but animals who had learned to build ships. He was drinking his 3rd cup of stimulant tea when the alarm started. Commander, his sensor officer's voice was high with confusion. We are detecting FTL signatures, many of them coming from the human sector. Side, probably debris or some malfunction. The humans do not have warships. Sir, the readings are very clear. I count over 300 vessels. Now was interested. He walked to the sensor station and looked at the display. His blood ran cold. The signals were not debris. They were ships, hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation. They were heading directly for the outpost. That is impossible, he whispered. 30 minutes later, the impossible became real. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel like a wall of metal and fire. Had seen council warships his entire life. They were beautiful things, designed to impress and intimidate. These human ships were nothing like that. They were ugly, brutal. They had no curves, no elegance. They were blocks of armor covered in weapons. They looked like machines built for only one purpose: killing. The lead ship was the largest. Its name was painted on the hull in letters that translator could read, a human word that meant nothing to him but would soon mean everything. His communication officer spoke. "Commander, we are receiving a transmission, all frequencies." "Put it through." A human face appeared on screen. A female, with gray hair and eyes that held no warmth. She wore a military uniform covered in symbols of rank. "This is Admiral of the Earth Stellar Defense Force," she said. Her voice was calm, almost polite. "6 months ago, your council murdered our ambassador. You called humanity a disease. You thought we were weak." She paused. "You were wrong." Felt fear for the first time in his life. Real fear. The kind that made his scales turn pale and his heart's beat too fast. "You have 1 hour to evacuate all civilians from this system," continued. "This offer will not be repeated. Any military vessel that remains will be destroyed. There will be no warning shots. There will be no negotiation. You had your chance for peace. You killed it." The transmission ended. His first officer looked at him with wide eyes. "Commander, what do we do?" Forced himself to stand straight. He was a warrior. His people had conquered 100 worlds. These humans were primitives, no matter how many ships they had built. "We destroy them," he said. "Signal the Third Fleet. All 200 ships. We will crush these animals and teach them their final lesson." The fleet assembled quickly. 200 warships, the pride of the Dominion, arranged in perfect battle formation. Their weapons powered up, shields activated. They outnumbered the human force, and technology was far superior. That is what believed. The battle began at exactly the 1 hour mark. The first human salvo was a wave of kinetic projectiles. Simple metal rods accelerated to incredible speeds. They did not glow. They did not hum with energy. They simply flew through space, too fast to dodge, too small to shoot down. They hit the shields and went straight through. 20 ships died in the first 10 seconds. They did not explode gracefully. They were ripped apart, torn into pieces by the force of the impacts, watched in horror as vessels that had served for centuries became clouds of debris. "Return fire," he screamed. The weapons lashed out, plasma beams, energy torpedoes, the finest weapons the Council had designed. They hit the human ships. They barely scratched the armor. "Impossible," whispered. "Their hulls, what are they made of?" The answer came later, when scientists studied the wreckage. Human ships were not built for beauty. They were built to survive. Layers upon layers of dense metal, designed to absorb punishment that would destroy any Council vessel. The battle lasted 11 minutes. In that time, the Third Fleet was completely destroyed. Not defeated, not forced to retreat, destroyed. Every single ship broken and burning. His command ship was among the last to fall. He watched his crew die around him. He watched his beautiful vessel tear itself apart under the human assault. In his final moments, he understood the truth. The Council had not killed a weak species. They had awakened something terrible, something that had survived ice ages and plagues and wars that killed millions, something that had learned to be the most dangerous predator on a world full of predators. The humans were not animals. They were monsters. And they were very, very angry. Admiral watched the last ship break apart. Her face showed no joy, no satisfaction, only cold determination. "Begin the broadcast," she ordered. Her image appeared on every screen in Council space. Every species, every world, every station saw her face. "To the Galactic Council," she said, "we gave you peace. You chose violence. Now you will learn that humanity does not forgive, we do not forget, and we do not stop." She leaned forward. We are coming, prepare yourselves. The transmission ended. The galaxy had just learned its first lesson about humanity. There would be many more to come. The news spread faster than any fleet could travel. The humans had destroyed the third fleet, 200 warships gone in minutes. The council that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years was suddenly facing something they had never imagined. A species that fought back. In the council chambers, panic was spreading. Representatives screamed at each other. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for total war. The proud and stubborn refused to believe what had happened. High Arbiter stood at his podium, his yellow eyes burning with rage. "They are primitives," he shouted. "One victory means nothing. We have thousands of ships. We will gather our fleets and crush them like the insects they are." But even as he spoke, the human fleet was already moving deeper into council space. Admiral had given clear orders to every captain. They were not there to conquer. They were not there to occupy. They were there to break the council's ability to make war. "We hit their shipyards," she had explained. "We destroy their weapons factories. We cut their supply lines. We do not harm civilians. We do not bomb cities. We show them that we are not like them." Lieutenant Commander O led the first strike team. His target was the largest shipyard, a massive station where they built their warships. It hung in space like a metal flower, beautiful and deadly. Hundreds of ships were docked there, waiting to be completed. His team consisted of 50 small attack craft. They were fast, almost invisible to sensors, designed to get in close before the enemy knew they were there. "All units, this is," he said through his communicator. "Remember your targets, power systems first, then weapons, then engines. We want that station dead, not exploded. There are workers on board." His team understood. They swooped in like a flock of angry birds. The defenders never had a chance. By the time they realized what was happening, craft had already disabled the station's main reactor. Secondary explosions rippled through the structure as weapons storage areas lost containment. The station went dark, powerless, unable to do anything but drift. "Station neutralized," reported. "Zero civilian casualties." On the other side of space, Captain Shin led a squadron against an agricultural world. This was more delicate work. The planet below fed billions of. Destroying it would be genocide. But its orbital platforms controlled the food distribution for half the Dominion. Without them, the war machine would starve. "Target the platforms only," ordered. "Nothing reaches the surface," understood. Her squadron moved with precision. Kinetic rounds slammed into the platforms, shattering them into harmless debris. The pieces that fell toward the planet were small enough to burn up in the atmosphere. When it was over, the world below was untouched, but it would take decades to rebuild what the humans had destroyed. This was the pattern everywhere the human fleet went. They destroyed military targets. They shattered infrastructure. They broke the tools of war. But they did not kill civilians. They did not bomb cities into dust. They did not do what they had done to countless other species over the. Some council species began to notice the difference. "Why do they not finish us?" asked one representative in a secret meeting. "They have the power. They could kill us all." "Because they are not us," answered another. "They are showing us what they could do and what they choose not to do." Month after month, the war continued. The council gathered fleet after fleet, sending them against the humans. Every battle ended the same way. The council ships burned. The human ships moved on. Admiral slept very little during this time. She spent her nights studying reports, planning attacks, and writing letters to the families of the fallen. Because humans died too. 94 ships were lost in the first year. Thousands of crew members gave their lives. She remembered every name. One night, her intelligence officer, Lee, came to her with urgent news. "Admiral, we have intercepted council communications. High Arbiter is building something." looked at the data. Her face went pale. "A planet killer," she whispered. "They are building a weapon to destroy Earth." Nodded. "Our analysts believe it will be ready within weeks. It is hidden somewhere in a secret location. We are trying to find it." Stood up, she walked to the window of her quarters and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there was preparing to murder billions of innocent people. Men, women, children. Her son. "How many ships does have left?" she asked. "Intelligence suggests over 2,000. He has gathered everything the Council has. They are preparing for a final stand at Vertex Prime." Nodded slowly. The Council's capital, the place where it died, it was fitting. "Contact all fleet commanders," she said. "We end this now. We hit Vertex Prime with everything we have. We stop that weapon." "Admiral, we only have 300 ships against 2,000. The odds." "The odds do not matter," interrupted. "We are fighting for our home, for our families, for every child who deserves to grow up without fear." She turned to face. "Tell the fleet. Tomorrow we finish what the Council started. Tomorrow we show them that humanity does not die quietly." Saluted and left. Stayed at the window for a long time, watching the stars. Tomorrow would be the biggest battle in human history. Tomorrow everything would be decided. She whispered a quiet prayer for her crews, for her ships, for the home she was fighting to protect. Then she went to prepare for war. The Battle of Vertex Prime began at dawn. Not real dawn, of course. There was no sun near the Council's capital station, but Admiral had ordered the attack to start at the exact moment that sunrise would touch Sol back on Earth. It felt right somehow. A new day, a new beginning. 300 human ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel facing a wall of enemies. 2,000 Council vessels waited for them, arranged in defensive formations around Vertex Prime. It was the largest fleet the galaxy had ever assembled. High Arbiter watched from the Council chamber, a smile on his reptilian face. "Look at them," he said to his advisors. 300 against 2,000. They are brave, I will admit, brave and stupid." He did not know that bravery and stupidity had won humanity many wars before. His voice echoed through every human ship. "All crews, this is the Admiral. Today we fight for Earth, for our families, for Ambassador Park, who came here with peace and was murdered for it. Today we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten humanity." She paused. "Attack." The human fleet surged forward like a spear thrown at the heart of an empire. The first hour was chaos. Council ships fired everything they had. Plasma beams cut through space. Missiles streaked toward human vessels. Energy weapons lit up the darkness like 1,000 angry stars. Human ships died. The destroyer took a direct hit and broke apart. The cruiser lost its engines and drifted into enemy fire. Dozens of smaller craft vanished in flashes of light. But for every human ship that fell, 10 Council ships burned. Human kinetic weapons punched through shields like they were not there. Human missiles carried warheads that turned entire vessels into expanding clouds of fire. Human crews fought with a fury that the Council had never seen before. Commander saw his chance. His ship, though, was a small destroyer, nothing special, but had studied the enemy formation and he had found a weakness. The Council flagship, a massive vessel called the Eternal Glory, was protected by a ring of defenders, but if someone drew their fire— "All crew, this is the commander," announced. "I am going to do something very dangerous. Anyone who wants to leave, go now. I will not think less of you." No one left. Smiled, he was proud of his crew. "Then let us make history." They broke formation and dove straight at the Eternal Glory. Every Council ship in range turned to fire at the small destroyer. Plasma beams tore through its armor. Missiles slammed into its hull. The ship began to break apart, but kept flying. "For," he said quietly, This final act was to fire every weapon it had into the Eternal Glory's shield generators. The shields fell just as ship exploded in a ball of fire. Admiral saw the opening. All ships target the flagship now. The led the charge. Its main gun, a massive kinetic accelerator that ran the entire length of the ship, fired once. The shot hit the unshielded Eternal Glory directly in its center. The flagship broke in half. Across the Council fleet, panic spread. Their command ship was gone. Their formations began to fall apart. Ships that had been holding positions started to drift. Captains who had been following orders suddenly had no orders to follow. The humans did not give them time to recover. For 18 hours, the battle raged. It was the longest, bloodiest fight in galactic history. Ships on both sides were reduced to wreckage. The space around Vertex Prime became a graveyard of broken metal and lost lives. When it finally ended, the Council fleet was destroyed. Over 1,700 ships were gone, burned, broken, drifting without power. The few survivors surrendered or fled into deep space. Human losses were terrible, 94 ships, thousands of dead, but they had won. Admiral led the boarding party onto Vertex Prime herself. They moved through the station in silence. Council workers fled before them. Some tried to fight and were quickly subdued. The humans were not gentle, but they did not kill anyone who surrendered. They found High Arbiter in the Council chamber. He was standing exactly where he had stood when he ordered death. His fine robes were dirty. His scales had gone pale with fear, but he still tried to look proud. "You cannot do this," he hissed as approached. "We are the Galactic Council. We are civilization itself. You are nothing but animals, savages, you." "We are the species you tried to destroy," interrupted. Her voice was quiet, but it carried through the silent chamber. "We are the children of a world that tried to kill us with ice ages and plagues and disasters. We survived them all. Did you really think you could do what our own planet could not?" Had no answer. Looked at him for a long moment. It would be so easy to kill him. One shot and the creature who had murdered would be gone. Many of her officers wanted exactly that. She holstered her weapon. "I am not going to execute you," she said. "That would make us like you." She activated a galaxy-wide broadcast. Her face appeared on every screen in Council space. Billions of aliens saw a tired human woman standing in their most sacred hall. "People of the Council," she began, "we did not want this war. We came to you seeking friendship. You answered with murder. We could destroy you now. We have that power." She paused. "But we will not. Today we offer you the same thing Ambassador Park offered 1 year ago: peace, trade, partnership. The only difference is that now you understand we are not asking. We are equals. You will treat us with respect or you will face us again. Choose." One by one, Council species surrendered. Not to human rule, but to human terms. Fair terms that demanded nothing but respect and safety for all species. Was tried by his own people for crimes against sentient life. He died in prison 3 years later, alone and forgotten. The galaxy changed after that day. 10 years later, a memorial stood on Vertex Prime. It was a statue of Park, his hand extended in peace, just as he had offered peace to the Council so long ago. Admiral, now retired, visited every year. On this day, she was not alone. Daughter, Park, stood beside her, had grown up to become humanity's second ambassador to the reformed Galactic Assembly. "Do you think he would be proud?" asked quietly, "of what we did?" Thought for a long moment. "Your father believed in peace," she finally said. "But he also understood something important. Peace is not just the absence of war. It is what comes after you stop those who would destroy it." She looked up at the stars, where human and alien ships flew side by side. "We answered their cruelty with strength, and because we were strong, we could afford to be merciful. That is the human way." placed flowers at the statue's base. The galaxy had learned its lesson well. The species from the small blue planet were not weak. They were not primitives. They were something far more dangerous. They were survivors. And they would always fight back. The war was over. The future had begun.